What's up, everybody? This is NorbCam coming at you on Super Bowl Sunday. Yes, it is finally here. The Chiefs versus the Buccaneers. Super Bowl 55. Today, a champion will be crowned. Will it be the Chiefs? Will it be the Bucs? We're about to find out. But I wanted to talk about this little idea I had up here to share some thoughts I had about why I hate and love Tom Brady. Now, if any of you guys are fans of my show, you've probably heard me talk many times about how I am rooting hard against Tom Brady because I do not want to see him win another ring. But I'm going to break this down and kind of explain. Everybody knows that I don't want him to win, but why I love Tom Brady? Well, let me explain. But before I get into it, I just want to ask everybody, please, if you wouldn't mind, I would appreciate if you'd smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell. That way you'll never miss a video anytime one comes out. And I would also like to just recognize one more time my special sponsor who's been helping me out, partnering up with me during this whole last part of the season. Daniel Dovin right there, Daniel Dovin of Dovin Real Estate. If you guys know anybody who's looking to buy or sell a house here in the Seattle area, he's the guy. He's a fantastic, born and raised in Seattle, Seahawks fan, and he's been on my show talking all kinds of stuff related to the Seahawks and then some. And if you are looking to buy or sell a house, he is the guy. He will take good care of you, and he's got a great company that he works with. So check him out, Daniel Dovin of Dovin Real Estate. All right, so let's get into this. Everybody's got their opinion. Probably Tom Brady is probably one of the most controversial, most polarizing figures in the NFL. You have many people who hate him, and as many people who love the guy. And you can put in your comments. I'd love to see your comments in the chat, your thoughts on this, where you stand on the issue. But for me, as I said before, I'll let me explain again why I do not like Tom Brady, why I root against Tom Brady. I guess I'll use the word hate, since we have to kind of either hate or love something when it comes to sports, right? I hate Tom Brady for many reasons, why everybody else does too. One, he's won so many rings already, right? He's been so dominant. He's got enough to almost wear on all fingers. He's practically got enough to have, he's in his 10th Super Bowl, getting close to having a ring for every single finger. And that's just not right. That is just crazy. And who wants to see him win another one when he's already got this many in his back pocket? That's one thing. Secondly, he's been on a team that's been easy to hate for the last 20-something years, right? I mean, he's been part of that team that has been the bane of many people's existence. If you're in the AFC East, you couldn't stand the Patriots led by Tom Brady. As the Seahawks fan, of course, my most devastating, most miserable moment as a fan came in Super Bowl 49, and you'll recall this. I just recently released my documentary about that Seahawks 49 Super Bowl, the 2014 season, and the heartbreak that came with that, being in the building when it happened, seeing it happen in front of my face, losing to Tom Brady and the Patriots. Granted, it wasn't him personally who caused that last play that really turned the tide for Seattle. But of course, he was part of that team, and he led the Patriots to come back 24-14 to win that game 28-14. So of course, naturally, I'm going to channel a lot of my anger and aggression to him because he's part of that team that led that team to one of my most miserable moments, and had really could have changed the direction of our franchise to something that would have been so different from what it is now. We could have had 2 Super Bowls, championships, maybe even more, had that game gone another way. So it's obviously easy for me to understand why I feel such bitterness, such anger, such channeled hatred towards him, and why I've always wanted to see him lose leading up to that, but also because of this, because of that game that happened back in 2014 season, the Super Bowl 49 that actually happened in 2015. So that's the easy part as to why I can't stand the guy. But now, why love Tom Brady? You're like going, what? Norb, you're just the same guy who just said, if you're a Seahawks fan, how can you possibly root for Tom Brady? So here, let me explain. When it comes to sports, it's a lot like movies. right? They're both entertainment. They're both things we watch because we get into it. It's something that we want to feel emotionally moved by, right? And I'm a filmmaker as much as I am a Seahawks fan. This YouTube channel becomes a place for me to combine both passions together, which is awesome. I got to share that with you guys. But it's like my feeling of a movie. I mean, what makes a movie or a game, for that matter, a sport, good? Why do you care about it? Well, it's because you have to care about it. You've got to be into it. You've got to be emotionally invested. Otherwise, it's pointless. Nobody would watch, right? There's nothing worse than a game or a movie that you don't care about. Because if you don't care about it, you're not watching it, all right? And what makes a game or a sport or a movie or a sport interesting? Well, you've got to have something that gets your emotions wrapped up in it. And what does that more than anything else? Well, you have your protagonist, the good guy in the game. Of course, that's the team you're rooting for. Or in a movie, it's your Luke Skywalker. It's your Braveheart, Mel Gibson. It's the guy that you're rooting to win. And eventually, you root for to be at the end of the movie, the happy ending. Well, in order to have a fantastic protagonist or good guy, you also have to have what? You got to have the opposite. You got to have a fantastic antagonist, a great bad guy. And some of the best movies we've ever seen, much like the best games we've ever seen, had somebody you really hated or you really loved to hate. And I'm talking about, the greatest evil villains of cinema history, right? We talk about like Darth Vader, the Emperor in the Star Wars franchises. We're talking about Die Hard. Shoot, I'm blanking on his name, and I should know him. The arch nemesis of John McClane, Hans. There we go, Hans Gruber, one of the best bad guys ever because not only was he evil, but he actually had a side that was actually kind of charming. He was funny, and so at the end, though, you kind of liked him. You liked the bad guy, but you liked rooting against him because ultimately you needed the good guy to defeat the bad guy. And in the end of the show, what happens? John McClane's the bad guy's hanging by his wife's wrist, about to pull her down, and he takes off the watch, and then he falls down. You watch him fall into the hundreds of feet down to his death, and it's great, and we all cheer, and it's awesome. And that's what is the reason why Tom Brady is fantastic to have in the NFL, because of the fact that you either love him so much or you hate him so much, because you need that in a sport to make it compelling, to make it emotional, to make it meaningful. Otherwise, you just don't care. And that's what makes this game more interesting. Super Bowl 55, obviously with my team not in it, without a team I'm really rooting for. I wasn't really rooting for Kansas City, and they'd already won one. I was really hoping it was going to be the Saints versus the Buffalo Bills. That was really the matchup I was hoping for, just because the Bills and the fans hadn't seen one in a long time. The Saints have been screwed at a lot of these recent Super Bowls that they should have gone to. And of course, the Tom Brady thing. Do we really need to see that again? Do we really need to see the team, the host team, who's never hosted a Super Bowl? Did we have to really see it happen with Brady at the helm? And just to add to that intrigue, you've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have a lot of parallels to Seattle. If you don't know the history, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Seattle Seahawks came into the NFL at the same time. They were both, the franchises were both born into the NFL in 1976. And they both, since that time, have won a Super Bowl, just one. So here we are now on parallel paths in that regard. And now today could be the day, if Tom Brady wins, that Tampa Bay, they got to host the Super Bowl and have their team in it. That will never happen in Seattle. I'm sorry, Seattle, unless we get a state-of-the-art indoor stadium, Seattle will not host a Super Bowl, not in the current configuration that we have. Too cold, the weather's not conducive to it. We'd have to make some, changes. At least that's my understanding, that the Super Bowl never come to Seattle. So they already got one up on us. But if they win one, then now they're going to have another one. They're going to have that same, we're like twins. We're like football franchise twins that have been born together, both got Super Bowls, but now they have a chance to get one more. So in that regard, it's another one where it's just another reason why I'm not rooting for Tampa Bay. But that all being said, if Tom Brady wasn't in the Super Bowl and it was just the Buccaneers led by somebody else, it would be half as compelling for me. I wouldn't be as much, fiery about wanting to watch him lose. And as I've said before, nothing would give me more pleasure than to watch this game go back and forth, and one team's got the lead, then the other team's got the lead, and then it's the last 2 minutes, Tom Brady with the ball, and he has to drive 75 yards down the length of the field, down a touchdown, actually, that's my prediction, is that they're going to be down 6 points. It's going to be 33-27, I think is the score prediction I had for the Super Bowl, that the Chiefs win by 6 points. And at the last stretch of 2 minutes, Tom Brady has to take the team the distance, and they go 74 of the 75 yards that they need for the comeback win of the ages. But instead, they get to the 1 yard line, and what do you think happens? Disaster happens. Would it be poetic to have it be a slant that's intercepted? It could be a sack fumble at the end. It could be an interception of another kind. Either way, nothing would give me more great pleasure to watch, as for the same reason why my video of my interception reaction is my number one watch video on my channel, because it is my most miserable moment, and people love to watch people suffer. I mean, let's just be real about it, right? It's human nature. We get off. We enjoy the suffering of others. And you guys prove to me in my channel, I assume mostly Patriots fans and who knows who else, but the fact that my most miserable moment is the most watched video, as opposed to my greatest moment, the Packers championship, NFC Championship miracle win, that's got like half the views of the one of my most miserable moments. So that just kind of goes to tell you how much we enjoy savoring in our opponents, our rivals' misery. So that would just give me so much pleasure to watch Tom Brady's face as the Super Bowl number 10 opportunity here as in his 10th appearance slipped through his fingers at the 1 yard line, to watch and see all the announcers, the analysts, the fan reactions on YouTube, to see their disappointment of losing at the 1 yard line, because let's face it, misery loves company. I'm never going to get over that 1 yard line. Obviously, winning another Super Bowl down the line will certainly make me feel better. But it's always going to be in the back of my head that we could have had one more, that we were this far, well, more like this far away from having one more. And it would have happened way back then, and would have derailed Tom Brady's career as we know it. Because at that time, Russell Wilson would have had 2. Brady would have only had 3. He would have had Deflategate floating over his head. And the whole path, I believe, the destiny of our two franchises would have taken 2 different directions. So again, these are just more reasons why I feel the way I do about the hate of it, and why I would love to see the Buccaneers and Tom Brady lose. So I want to see him lose in a most miserable fashion. I don't want to see a blowout. I don't want to see the Chiefs blowing them out like 33-10. That wouldn't be fun. I mean, that's boring. People will be turning it off by the 4th quarter if they get blown out and with no chance to come back. I want the game of the century, down to the wire, and the story plays out just like I described. The ultimate comeback, only to fall short. And you got to understand about me, when it comes to film, I compare movies and sports all the time, because I'm big on both. I love movies, and more than anything, I love movies with unconventional endings. I like myself a good happy ending, don't get me wrong, but I really love movies that have unpredictable, not cliche endings where you just did not see it coming, or the unhappy ending, right? That's why I love the movie Braveheart, one of my favorite movies of all time. Braveheart is a horrible ending because you're rooting for William Wallace to defeat the brutal English king, who's another great bad guy. If you haven't seen this movie, you got to go see it. And in the end, what happens to William Wallace? Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, but this is history. William Wallace gets betrayed by one of his own people, and lets him to be captured, and you're waiting for the heroic rescue where they take him and get him away so he can win the battle. But what happens now? He gets tortured, executed, gets his head cut off. That's how the movie ends. Now, there's a bigger picture where they talk about Scotland fighting for the freedom, and they win it. But in terms of your hero, William Wallace, he gets his head cut off and his guts torn out. That's a terrible way. I mean, Can you imagine Luke Skywalker ending with that? Like Darth Vader cuts his head off and pulls all his guts out? I mean, that's a terrible script ending. But I loved it, though. That's what made it so great. It was like you're waiting for the happy ending. It's like, what was that? But it was a fantastic movie. So I like movies with dark endings, with unexpected endings. And if you ever get a chance to watch my movie Frayed, that I made with my childhood buddies, Mike Lorraine, Kurt Svenningson, Rob Portman. We made this movie, and it's on DVD. You can find a Netflix DVD rental, but you can find it online in different places. Frayed, F-R-A-Y-E-D. It's a dark horror film with a pretty crazy ending, but I'm all big on endings, especially ones that you don't necessarily expect. So, back to my point, to wrap up this point, is why Tom Brady is important to the game. That is why I love him there, because he adds that aspect of the drama, the reason to root or hate against a team. And like I said, I put out there the way I want this show to end, the way I want this game to end. But if it doesn't happen, and he does manage to win one more ring, I will be disappointed. I will be inside kind of angry, but at the same time, I will be extremely respectful and admiration for what he's been able to pull off. Because the dude's 43 years old, right? He's managed to win and be in the championship hunt and been a champion for the last 20 years in a time when the salary cap and everything that works against teams being dominant for years and years and years in a row, he's been able to do it. And like I said, in Super Bowl 51, when he came back against the Atlanta Falcons, if you watch my Super Bowl 51 reaction, when I play-by-play talk through that final series or series of events that led to Tom Brady getting that 28-3 comeback and ultimately winning, I said he's the GOAT. He could not have happened if he was not, because he had to pull that off himself. That was a series of perfectly executed plays that if one thing goes wrong, it ends. He doesn't get the comeback, and he did it. As much as Atlanta kept the door open for him, he still had to walk through that door. He still had to punch his way through the door that wasn't locked. So they just forgot to lock it, the Falcons. They didn't lock the door, but Tom Brady still had to find the door, pick the lock, and get through it. And for that, he will always have my respect in terms of what he did for the game. And if he wins this one today, I'll tip my cap, and I will say, well deserved. You are the greatest of all time. And for those who are already calling Patrick Mahomes the baby GOAT, you got a long way to go, man. You've won as many as Russell Wilson has so far. You might win two, and then you'll be having a step closer towards being that level. But until you've done it for the long enough time, through all the thick and thin, through all the losing weapons and gaining and changes and coaches and changing in offensive lines and changing all those things, that's when you can really say you're the greatest of all time. When you can show that standing through all those things, you're still standing above all as a champion. And that's what Tom Brady has done. And it's been good for the NFL. It's as much as you hate the fact that the Patriots' name has always been up in there. You need an evil empire. You need an imperial forces, a dark forces. You need that bad element to make sports meaningful. So with that, we have the evil empire, and I will be rooting hard against the empire to watch the empire fall, to watch the ultimate bad guy in football fall today. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to an awesome game. I'm looking forward to some fireworks, and we'll see how it goes. So, see all your comments in there. So I didn't get to talk to all of them in there, but put in the chat, in the comments, your thoughts on Tom Brady. Love him, hate him, what you think about him, and what your prediction is for the Super Bowl. Again, I say 33-27, down to the wire. Kansas City Chiefs go back-to-back by defeating Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, 33-27. All right, so there we go. I see people reading into this rumor too much. I see Slippy saying Wilson might get traded. Must be responding to that headline, major clickbaity article I saw it floating around out there that teams have been inquiring with the Seahawks about possible trade for Russell Wilson. Look, right now everybody's scrambling for a quarterback, and everybody's going to call and ask. There's always going to be questions. Hey man, what'd you say, man? You want to give up Russell Wilson? What's it going to take? 5 first-round picks and a bunch of money and 2 or 3 of my best players. It never hurts to ask, but no. Russell Wilson will be our quarterback at least through next year. Now, when we get time for re-signing his contract, I'll get a little nervous at that point. But right now, we still got a couple more years. We don't have to worry about that. So, Russell is not going anywhere. And congratulations to Russell Wilson for being chosen yesterday, awarded at the NFL Honors Walter Payton Man of the Year. He could have earned this one for what he's been doing probably seasons ago, because he's been doing this consistently. Ever since he was a rookie, he's been visiting kids with fighting cancer at Children's Hospital every Tuesday before people even knew who he was. And, and then he's only expanded on that. So it's pretty awesome. Pretty cool to have a quarterback who does such great things. For all the times you get upset, for the times you get sacked or holds on the ball a little bit too long or throws the interception, don't forget about the good things he does both on the field and off the field. So we're very lucky to have Russell Wilson. And hopefully one day, I still believe there's another Super Bowl win waiting for us sooner rather than later. And who knows, maybe next year. We'll see. All right, you guys. Make sure to, I'm going to put a couple screens up here and just keep this conversation going. I am doing a live stream of the Super Bowl with my dad, the final one of 2020-2021 season. So go click on that. Let's hop over. Come join us for the live stream of the Super Bowl. You can also watch my documentary and some other things if you just click on the windows right here. So I appreciate you guys. Let's enjoy the Super Bowl. See you on the live stream. And have a great one. Super Bowl 55. Gotta love it. Go Hawks.